Okay, today we're going to learn the Minhogim of the 3 weeks. I call it the Minhogim because most of them are Minhogim, not Chaz v'Shalom to mezalzel in them, but we have to know where they're coming from. So before I'm going to start reading him the Halacha, the Minhogim of the 3 weeks, I'm going to first read from the Mishnah in Maseches Tainis. It's a long Mishnah, but only what's nagea to us. The Gemara says like this: Mishenichnas Ov mematin b'simcha. So from Rosh Chodesh Ov, we decrease an inyan simcha. I'm not going to go into it right now. We're going to learn about it later. Then it says Shabbos shechal Tisha B'av liyos b'soicha, a week that Tisha B'av happened to be there, which is, by the way, it's Tuesday now, Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. Tuesday going to be Tisha B'av, always the same kvius, 3 weeks later. So that week from Sunday till Tisha B'av says Osur milesaper u'milechabes. You're not allowed to take a haircut or to do laundry. So original halacha, what the Braid brought in the Mishnah, where you're not allowed to take a haircut or to do laundry, it's only Shavua Shechal Tisha B'av. It would be only from Sunday to Tuesday, only this year. Hopefully even that not. Mashiach going to become a Yom Tov. It says like this: Ubechamishi mutorim mipnei kvoid Shabbos. On a Thursday they're allowed to do a laundry. Again, it's also what the pshat of here. We're going to leave it for another time when we're going to get there. Now like this: Erev Tisha B'av only. This year would be Monday. Erev Tisha B'av lo yechal adam shnei tafshilin. It's talking about Suda Mafsekes. Don't have 2 tafshilin. Lo yechal boser v'lo yishte yain. It's also over there. There's opinion that's the whole day, or just by Suda Mafsekes. Comes out of the restrictions of the meat and wine. It's originally mitzadina the Gemara, the way it's brought in the Mishnah. It's only Erev Tisha B'av. Lo yechal boser v'lo yishte yain. Okay, like I said, I'm not going to get to the details of this Mishnah now. We're gonna do that later. But that's what the Mishnah says. That all this starts either Shavua Shechalbo, that would be laundry or haircut, or yain, restriction of yain and meat. It's only Erev Tisha B'av. Then the Gemara says like this. Basically, like that, we're going to go to this Gemara later when we get closer to Tisha B'av. But right now, it comes out like this: where come the Minhogim from? People, the whole 3 weeks that there's no marriages, no chasanas, or some people don't take a haircut the whole 3 weeks. Most people, and whether buying new clothing. So we're going to see now all this where it's coming from. So when the Mechaber in Shulchan Aruch, when he writes about, he's talking Mimad mirosh chodesh adatayin is a matin v'maso matan v'binyan shel simcha, and he goes to the whole list what we cannot do. Then the Ramo comes and he says v'noyhagin la'achmir shen noisim yudzayin b'tamus v'elech ad achar Tisha B'av. So the Ramo comes, that's a minhag, not to make any chasanas during the 3 weeks. So that's one minhag we see the Ramo brings, that already from the whole 3 weeks we don't do chasanas. Again, Mikar Adin, it doesn't start that early, but the minhag starts for 3 weeks. Then the Ramo says another thing. Looks like the Ramo says a lot of chumras on those days. V'noyhagin aval tispoires nohagim lachmim yudzayin b'tammuz. Again, even though we read in the Mishnah it's only Shavua Shechal Bo, come the Ramo says tispoires haircut or makbid the whole 3 weeks. Then here is, and I'm not reading Shulchan Aruch. Kelim chadoshim ben levonim ben tzvuim ben shel tzember ben shel pishton osur lilvush b'Shabbos zo. Mitzad ikar adin, you're not allowed to wear new clothing. Only Shavua Shechal Bo Tisha B'av. And comes the Ramo and says, "V'ona machmirim Rosh Chodesh v'elach." So according to the Ramo, you should not buy new clothing or wear them from Rosh Chodesh. And comes the Mogen Avram and tells you, "V'abach kosav de'osol mi'yitzayin b'tamuz v'elach." Why? Why is machmir so much? The on mevorchin shechionu. we don't say shechionu. So that's the minhag. The idea of the not that it's isur say shechionu. It's no. What shechionu? Baruch Hashem will live to that day. It looks like it could be interpreted that you Chas v'Shalom waiting for the days of Havelos. That's why the minhag is not to say shechionu. Since we don't say shechionu, you don't buy new clothing because you have to say shechionu.
Even though nowadays most clothing.
Very good. So Lamaise comes out that any clothing we don't say shechionu. Furthermore, everybody don't say shechionu when they buy socks, underwear, undershirt, or shirt. Nobody said that's for sure comes out. You would be allowed to buy if that the whole Easter of the Bach from shechionu, for you could be allowed, and even suits and other things that they used to say shechionu, other people don't say it anymore. So according to this, would be you go to the original minhag of the Ramah, only also in Rosh Chodesh. So it comes out from now till Rosh Chodesh. Anything that doesn't require shechionu, if you don't say shechionu, then you could buy it. Yes, Lamai say you could buy anything that doesn't require shechionu till Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh already start the minhag what the Ramah says, machmirim in Rosh Chodesh. Also, then he says like this, the Mogen Avram. According to this, he says, if the whole problem is shechionu, he says, you would be allowed to wear them on Shabbos. Let's say somebody would say still shechionu on a suit, yeah? If he buys it now, you're allowed to buy it now, wear it on Shabbos, and say the shechionu on Shabbos. That's what the Mogen Avram says, because the Shabbos is when Matzori, but Shabbos you could say shechionu. Now, it's interesting, the Mogen Avram himself, later on in Siman Kotan Membeis, he brings some Harizal, B'kisvei Osur Afilu B'Shabbos. According to that, during the 3 weeks, not during the day of Sfira, that we don't say shechionu, also during the 3 weeks, we don't say shechionu even on Shabbos. According to that, would be buying it covered Shabbos, wearing it, according to Arizal, it's not appropriate because it does say shechionu. Again, if you don't say shechionu, then you could do any day till Rosh Chodesh. Okay, so again, the comes out that the marriages we don't do, it's a minhag. Okay, again, I'm not saying Chazal has to mezalzel, but just to know the origin of things. And the haircut at 3 weeks also a minhag, and not wearing or buying new clothing if it requires shechionu, then we don't do it all the whole 3 weeks. If it doesn't require shechionu, then according to this would be also, let's say somebody buying a new car. Okay, a new car, if it's not leased, if it's really bought, especially if it's bought, let's say for cash, definitely I think it deserves shechionu. It's a big item.
Even used?
Oh, so it depends how happy you are with this. Find out, wait a few weeks, find out how happy you are. But let's say you're extremely happy. By the way, you are even used, yes. In the case, I said this myself over here, I had the one guy that bought his first used car. I remember I was there Friday and he walked in and he said, Rabbi, should I say shechionu? He was so extremely happy, so excited. I says, definitely you could say. The whole shechionu is how happy you are. And anyway, Al-Kaponim comes out, it's not appropriate to buy a new car during the 3 weeks because it is something that you're going to argue if it's as a banknote or lease, it's not anymore such a simcha because you really don't own it. So even over there, it's better not to do it, especially the poskim brings. It's not a good sign these days to buy a house, to buy a car, it's not a good sign. That's why another reason people don't get married. Even those which follow the mechaber, that you're still allowed to get married, they don't get married in the Kaf HaChaim brings during these days, it's not a good sign. So if somebody's car broke down, you have no choice, it's a different Inyan, but if it's possible not to put the buying new stuff, including a car, for the 3 weeks.
What happens if it's like a great deal now, and it won't be around?
Again, so all this, like I said, then there is leniencies over here. So if you have such a shaila, we could discuss it. Okay, now he brings another thing over here. Yesh noyagim. I'm reading now from the Mechaber. Yesh noyagim shlo lechol basar shlo listas yain. Again, all of them use the word noyagim because Medina the Gemara it's only Erev Tisha B'Av. B'Shabbos zu in this week, the Mechaber machmir the week of Tisha B'Av. Umutar b'choymet shel yain. If you want to buy, even the time you're not allowed to drink the wine, vinegar made out of wine, that's not a problem because the whole idea of wine, it's royal gava mizbech as a davar choshuv or ba'avelus. This is not. It's not a davar choshuv. It's just a food product. It's like something you put for cooking. That's allowed, or even eating. It's not davar choshuv. Now v'yesh moisifen. That's the Mechaber himself. Mirosh Chedesh as a tainis. V'yesh moisifen zayin b'tamud. The Mechaber brings all the three shittas. The Minhogim. Mitzad Ikar Adin, we said that only Erev Tisha B'Av. So he brought three shittas. Some starting from Shavua Shechalboy, some starting from Rosh Chodesh, some the 3 weeks. So it comes out that our people know 3 weeks not to have meat or wine. By the way, no. Yeah, you brought both. Lachavav, Lishtas Yain, you bring them both. Now, the Ramos says on this halacha, Minhogim lahachmir shelo lishtas yain b'virkas hamazon v'loy b'havdalah. People have a minhag not to do kosher bracha, bench with wine and havdalah. So what do you do with the havdalah? Elam noisnem letinok. If you have somebody below bar mitzvah, you give it to him to drink. B'mokem deleka tinok mutar ba'atzmoy. If you don't have someone else to give it to a child, then you do it. You could drink it yourself.
You can or you should?
You should. You cannot mavatal havdalah. What are you going to do? You cannot mavatal havdalah. No, tell me.
I was asking you what you're going to do.
I thought, huh?
Kamar Medina.
I thought you're going to say this, what he said. So I'm going to talk about Chamar Medina, about other beverages. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. So he says you could drink it yourself. He says, okay. So right now, I'm going to talk about the wine of Havdalah. The Mogen Avrom Ed, he says, "Aval birkas hamazon yivorech below kois." Birkas hamazon that you can skip because today anyway we're not makbid to do birkas hamazon with the kois. But Havdalah, he says, if you don't have a child to give him the Havdalah, you can do so. So Aruch HaShulchan brings that the minhag where he lived was to do on sheikher, whether they did it on beer or on vodka, whatever they were, the sheikher Medina, I don't know. So l'choire, I didn't see any other posek saying this, and l'choire adrabah, you should do bedafka wine, even you have an ability to do it on Chemar Medina, why? Because the whole thing, again, that's why it's important to know the origin of the halacha. The whole thing is also only Erev Tisha B'Av, whether the whole day, whether it's Suda Mafsekes, but it's only Erev Tisha B'Av. The Minhogim can extended it, whether Shavua Shechalboy, whether Rosh Chodesh, the whole 3 weeks. Now, you're doing a mitzvah, Havdalah, it's a mitzvah, you cannot skip that mitzvah. So, and to do Havdalah and Sheikher Medina, it's all halachas where they learned once. Only when you really have no wine, you could go to do on Sheikher. It's not like, I have today, I want to do on a beer Havdalah. You can't do that. If you have wine available, you do it on a wine. So we made it to go say, since that some people have a minhag not to drink wine, I'm going to make Havdalah a Sheikher. L'choire, according to most poskim master,
Which opinion did he say you should?
What?
Which opinion said you should do that?
Aruch HaShulchan said in his country, in his place, they used to do the Havdalah and Sheikher. So I'm saying, from all the poskim mashma, no, clearly. Like I said, the whole thing is when you start at Minhogim, but Ledvar Mitzvah, when you have a lot of child to give them, you could do it. So it's no problem. Yes.
So does all this apply the same to grape juice? Or is it just one?
Yeah, whenever we say we don't have wine, grapes, even though you're right, it's not as choshev the grape juice as a wine, but l'maisa, let's put it that way. Erev Tisha B'Av, we're not going to have grape juice, even though it's not wine.
These minhagim are universal, or they were mostly Ashkenaz minhagim?
The Gabi what? The Gabi Havdalah you're talking about?
You're saying that the Isser of the meat and the wine was really Erev Tisha B'Av, but the minhagim got extended also.
Yes, no, it wasn't only, I just read it from the Mechaber. Not only that, you're right, the Ashkenazim brought more chumras on the Minhagim, but even the Mechaber brought the 3 shittas over here. When it started earlier, the Mechaber brought all 3 shittas. Okay, now I'm going to say from the Mechaber, just because I said it's Minhagim, you might think, it's Minhagim, so we could compromise. That in Kutov Kufnun Aleph Halacha Yud Aleph, Kol Misha Oichel Boster B'Mogim Shenagim Bo Isur. Anybody that's eating meat, and that would apply for anything else. If there's a minhag amokim, one of the chumras of the minhagim we have, says Poiretz Gederhu is breaking the boundaries, is breaking the fence. V'yishochena nochash. That's the klola the Chazal giving that somebody breaks divrei chachamim. God forbid the snake would beat him, and the Gemara says en lo asusa. There's no there's no cure for it. Then the Ramo adds on this, you should know, even if you have a minhag not to drink wine, muter lishas kol shecher afilu shel dvash koirem med, meaning those days there's no restrictions to drink any alcoholic beverages. The restriction was only other wines that was never extended the minhag and other alcoholic beverages. Okay, so for today we're gonna